101, that's the right terminology. We're just letting everybody in, and then we will get started in just a second. It's lovely to see some familiar faces on the call as well. Manvir, I'm obviously talking about you. Lovely to see you. Thank you. Lovely to see everybody on this call. Thank you for all being here. I know it is super hot outside, so we'll make this as short and as sweet as we can to get you all outside. Pete, I don't know whether you can hear us now. Maybe?
I can hear you, yeah.
Fantastic. And I can hear you.
Woohoo, I'm in.
We're winning. We're winning. Okay, super. So what we're going to do today is we are going to get started on just a little bit of an introduction to Enactus UK. There has been a summer since you guys all graduated, so we just want to make sure that you're all au fait with everything Enactus UK before we get started. We're then going to cover some mythbusters and then some common things that some of the teams sometimes trip up on, and then we're going to have a quick overview on the difference between mentoring and coaching before moving on to the team progress report, which I know that you have all already accessed and logged on and put lots of stuff in already. So before we get started, a quick introduction for those of you who don't know me. My name is Amy, and I am the COO of Enactus UK. I am obviously work for Enactus UK, but I am an alumni myself from Enactus Sheffield, so have been in your position as well many years ago. And Pete, would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. So I'm also an alumni. I was at Loughborough in 2014. I currently work for My Dentist as digital manager for the group. I look a little bit older and a little bit more beardy than the photo, so apologies for that. But,
I thought it was a good photo. I thought it gave a good look. And when he says My Dentist, it's the name of a company, which is what one of the members of staff at Enactus UK didn't understand the other day. So just to clarify. So to get started, we wanted to find out a little bit more about you. So if you have been with us before, you will know that we love a Slido over here at Enactus UK. I hope that I have set this up correctly, but we'll soon see. But if you are fancy, please go over to the QR code, scan it, and then let us know your name and what you're up to now. If not, if you're like me, just go to slido.com and enter in that code there and just tell us the same information. So we want to know who's on the call and what you're doing at the moment. I don't mean right this second, I mean in terms of your profession. What are you up to at the moment? Manva, I know you know how to use a Slido, so I'm expecting your name to be up here very soon, and I'm pretty sure I saw Jots as well. Excellent. Excellent. Starting a big business. Fantastic. Who else have we got on the call here now?
I can't spell manager.
Andrea? Just a manger. I'm going to leave it on here for a little bit to get you guys, your thumbs clearly are slow in the heat today. You don't need to join in, Caroline, it's okay. Caroline is here with me, just so you all know. It's in the background. She says hello. Super, excellent. So they're all, maybe there was just a bit of a delay. So we've got Jots, excellent. Great to hear you've got a grad job. Josh, Chantal, Samia, brilliant. You're all lighting up, which is awesome. So let's get, oh, there's a parent quiz. Let's get started. So as I said, we're going to do a quick intro to Enactus UK. You will have 100% heard this before, but it's always good to get just a quick reminder for you all. And again, it just helps you guys explain it to other people as well when you get to that point. So if you don't know already, the Enactus UK staff team is very small but mighty. So we have Andrew as the CEO, myself as COO, Caroline as the Partnership and Engagements Director, and many of you will have known Caroline from your time in the programme. Rosie, if you don't know Rosie, Rosie has been with us since the dawn of time. I think she's nearing on 15 years now, so she is the oracle of everything Enactus UK. So anything that we don't know the answer to, she can definitely support us with. And then you'll notice that there is a question mark over the Programme Director, not because we're hiring question marks, but we are hiring for a Programme Director. So if you know anybody, if you're interested, please do let me know. We are very, very eager to fill the position, the fantastic position of a Programme Director of Enactus UK. So please do get in touch if you are interested in that position. So, introduction to Enactus UK. I will make this as short and sweet as possible because, as I said, you will know all this information already. But as I hope you know, Enactus is the UK's leading combined youth social action and youth social enterprise charity, developing thousands of young entrepreneurial spirits every single year. So, obviously, you guys are part of that. So, at Enactus UK, we believe that the platform is a great bridge between the world of work and higher education as we work to develop those skills that often can't be taught in the classroom. So through the network, we bring together students, academics, and business leaders to create student-led social and environmental enterprises, which work towards addressing one or many of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which you can see on the screen. This gives our students an opportunity to make a difference to their local and international communities, whilst also building their personal and professional development skills. So for those of you who aren't aware yet, these are our statistics from last year on the Enactus programme, and we're really, really pleased to say that despite the C word, which we will not be using tonight, we were actually able to grow the impact on both our students and beneficiaries in the programme, which is awesome. So we grew our network to over 65 higher education institutions now, and we have recently just added in Leeds, Trinity University and Westminster into the mix as well, which is awesome. So another couple of universities to add to that ever-growing list. Last year, we had over 3,000 students engaged. Already this year, and we've not even started freshers, and we've got over 2,000 students already registered, which is awesome. And they ran 219 social enterprise projects, many of which I'm sure you guys were part of on the call here. Obviously, globally, you're aware that we're a global organisation. There are 35 Enactus countries, 1,800 university programs, and 72,000 members last year. So as you can see, we make up quite a big piece of that. Are you going to say something, Pete?
Yeah, and I think it's just really important to remember this context when you go back into mentor and work with teams, like to remember how big the network is. And I think that's why we were including this, is to remind everyone to remember how big the network is and to remember to use that network as a part of your new roles as mentors within the teams. So making sure that you don't always have to have all the answers, but you can refer them out to someone else on the network, and someone around the world will probably have an answer for you. So just to remember that.
Super, 100%. Okay, so there we go. So in terms of the criterion, I'm not sure whether this would have changed since your time in the programme, so I just wanted to flag it for you all now. So you should have hopefully seen this before, but as you well know, the criterion is all centred on really designing for impact, a focus on people, prosperity and planet, and obviously using entrepreneurial leadership, innovation, business principles to make sustainable, positive impact. Now, you may be thinking, well, this is just the normal criterion. It 100% is. It's been like this for a couple of years. But in my time across the Enactus time that I've been here, which is nearing on 13 years, which I'm sure Pete's is very similar, there's probably been about 3 or 4 different versions of the criterion. So we really want to just make sure that you guys were fully au fait with what the current criterion is, because this is what's going to be used obviously for the national competition that we hold every year in April, but also for the Enactus World Cup, which if you're not registered, I'm going to do a plug for that later on in this session. So then the next thing, we just wanted to give a couple of, I went too fast, a couple of project spotlights for those of you who aren't maybe as I say with what the current portfolio is holding, mainly again just to inspire you guys with some fantastic projects that are happening at the moment. So I'm sure many of you will have heard about Future Brew. They've actually had a rebranding. They're called Immediate now, but they haven't yet sent me the new brand. But this is a project that uses bread that would have otherwise ended up in landfill from supermarkets in their local area to then repurpose that into beer, which they then kind of brew and sell throughout the Southampton area and further now, because they've now got their new website up and running. And there have been many kind of reiterations of this across the programme. I know we've got Manveer on the call as well today, who did a version for Toast of the Town, which I'm also really pleased to say is a finalist for the Green Gown Award. So well done for that, Manveer. But another great example of what the project portfolio looks like currently. Again, PrepMate is another example of how they've used innovation and entrepreneurial leadership to develop a really cool product for those with upper limb differences. Now, the product's real kind of main goal and aim is to support those beneficiaries to have an independent life. And again, they're going through a different rebranding at the moment, but it shows you the innovation that can be developed by students throughout the programme. And then finally, Ecologico. So this was one of Enactus Nottingham's new projects from last year. And as you can see, the beneficiary is a cow. No, it's not really a cow. But it is all about climate action and environmental impact. So they are in the process of developing a new supplement, which when introduced into the feed of cows, reduces their methane impact by over 95%. So as you can imagine, if you scale that up across not only a few cows, but across the whole of the country, the difference in carbon emissions would be absolutely huge. So again, a really innovative, creative project that impacts both people, planet, and prosperity, working with the farmers. So I'm sure you all have some fantastic examples of projects from your time in the programme as well. If you're ever in need of any inspiration, please head over to the YouTube channel, because there's loads of videos from the Nationals presentations from before. Or again, use this network, ask around for different project ideas, because I'm sure between all of us here, we've got thousands and thousands of projects that we've known about across the past few years that we could really help connect you to and get some really great advice on as well. So then just a quick reminder before we move on to the next bit about who our current partners are. So as you can see, we have introduced a new partner to the mix this year, which is awesome, in Carlisle Brake and Friction, who are based in Wales, but are really looking for STEM students, engineering students, but also to help support those kind of projects as well. Hopefully you're aware of a lot of the other partners. Just as a heads up, maybe for you guys, maybe for your teams that you're supporting, we are hosting the Employability Fair in a couple of weeks where all of these partners will be showcased. So again, a fantastic opportunity for people to network, but also find out more about why they partner with us and what opportunities are available. And then I think, lastly, support network. We just wanted to highlight, you guys obviously as alumni mentors, that you are not the only people within the support network, that you are surrounded by us here at Enactus UK, the university advisors and the business coaches, as well as obviously alumni, other alumni mentors across the programme as well. This is all about being inclusive, and we wanted to make sure that you felt supported and that you were aware about who was around you and who you can reach out to advise, as well as obviously when you guys are advising a team. I don't know, Pete, if there's anything you wanted to add on to this bit before we move on to the Mythbusters?
I think it's just a really important point to reiterate. When you're going in and talking to the teams, it's really important that you try and get good alignment between yourself, the university advisors, and the business coaches, because I'm sure that you guys will remember the time as students, and there's nothing worse than your coach coming in and telling you one thing and your alumni mentor telling you something totally different. So it is, where possible, it's great if you can try and get that alignment beforehand with your coach, or just get some sort of relationship with the coach that's working with the team, so that you know that you guys are going to be running from the same hymn sheet when you're talking to the teams. I know there's been an engagement session that's been set up that I know some people will have attended, but if you didn't manage to attend that session, then it'd be great for you to just reach out. I know that there's been introduction emails sent out to everyone, so just reach out to the other coaches, university advisors, and just say, hey, who you are, and I guess your background, so that they know a little bit more about you as well.
That's great. I don't know what happened there. That's a great point. And also with that connection email, you'll obviously have all their names. So connect on LinkedIn, find each other, like build a relationship with them as well. This is a great opportunity for you guys to network and utilize the network. There's lots of networks there, but utilize those connections for your own kind of gain too. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. That's why we kind of did it differently this year. Super. So we're now going to go on to the Enactus UK Mythbusters, and I think this might be very quick because I don't know if we've changed the timings. So bear with me; it does go quick. But hopefully you guys are going to absolutely nail these answers, and you're going to get them right every single time. But these are just a couple of common myths that we wanted to dispel with you guys before obviously the teams kind of come in as well. So I hope you have got your fast fingers ready here. And good to go. Right. Okay. Join the quiz. Okay, you've got to put your names in first. I built that up and it wasn't even that fast. I'm so sorry, guys. But please pop your name in for the quiz. Manvir. Thank you, Manvir. Manvir, at least it's not as bad as the quiz at the National Expo, is it? Like, at least it's not that all over again. Perfect. We've got lots of people adding in now. Awesome. We'll wait for a couple more. Super. I think there's a delay on mine, so it might be a bit slower. 8
at the moment, I think. 9 now.
9, yeah, we're getting there. How many people do we have on the call? 14. Okay, we're close, we're close.
10, 11, 12, 13.
Who are we missing? Oh, probably me.
Probably you.
Yeah, me. We're missing me. Okay, we can start. I know the answers. Super. Okay, so all Enactus teams are expected to participate in the Enactus UK national competition in April. Is that true or is that false? Let's start with an easy one. Hopefully. Okay. And the answer is, split. The answer is true. All Enactus teams are required to participate in the Enactus UK national competition in April. Whether that's from the actual expo or whether we kind of invite them in at the earlier stage of the competition, the way in which we've structured the program now is that every team will participate in the opening round of competition to give everybody that developmental opportunity to network and really have that kind of ending point at the end of their Enactus year to really encourage impact and competition. So you need to take that back to your teams, guys. Okay, next question. Oh, we've got the leaderboard. Ashton's right there. Pete, you know the answers, Pete.
I know.
You went through them last night.
I'm making sure that I still remember them though.
Okay. So Enactus teams must remain inclusive and welcome students wishing to join the team throughout the year, even when there are not immediately obvious roles for them. Is that true or is that false?
I think the votes are closed, Amy.
Oh, it didn't even go on to it. Well, the answer is true. So what we do encourage teams to do is recruit throughout the year. Obviously, they're going to have their big recruitment times at the beginning of the year with freshers and refreshers in January. But we do encourage teams to be inclusive just because it's a free program. Why would you not be? If there becomes a challenge there with teams in terms of capacity or how they manage, that's a great challenge for us all to have. And for you guys as alumni mentors to support the teams with, and us here at Enactus UK as well. So just bear that in mind, because we have some teams who turn team members away, which is very sad. So it stays the same, I'm afraid. So university students or the general population are a strong choice of beneficiary group to develop a project around. Is that true or is that false? What do we think? I'm worried now, guys. I'm worried. Okay, one more second. Okay, so the answer is, guys, this is why we're doing this. The answer is false. So university students often, although I'm sure that many will tell us otherwise, are often in quite a privileged position in comparison to a lot of the need groups that we find in the local communities. It's not to say that they are not a beneficiary group, but in terms of a strong choice, that's probably something that we can work with you guys on as alumni mentors to really help steer and shape the teams to really make a really deep, true impact within their local communities. Pete, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, just from our conversation last night about the hexagon.
Yeah, so I think something that we used to use quite a long time ago was kind of it was a hexagon, as Amy just described, and from the middle outwards, you'd kind of have university students would be in the centre, so they're kind of the easiest ones for people to access, and probably the lowest group of people that you'd go after or try and work with for a strong choice of beneficiary group. And as you worked out the circle outside the hexagon, to the outer edges, I think it'd be good for us to try and find it, Amy, if we can, and try and share it with everyone. You'd have other groups like school children might sit slightly further out than university students, but still within a weaker choice, I guess, of beneficiary groups. You then might have other groups like people within other institutions or groups that would also fall within slightly easier to tackle, and then you would go out towards people that are not marked within a societal group already, so things like groups of homeless people or drug rehabilitation, or all of those would, as you go further out, you would have those type of individuals that would be considered a stronger choice of beneficiary group. Essentially, those that have less collective voice or ability to make impacts on their own without some support and help. So they don't have the support infrastructure around them that other people do.
Super. That was a great way of explaining it. And we definitely need to try and find that for everybody to help you guys steer into the right direction here. Okay, so oh, Pete's overtaken Ashton. Come on, Ashton. You can do Okay, so next one. International projects have greater impact and are more impressive in competition, presentations, and to partners. What do we think? True or false? I can't call it anymore, guys. I cannot call it. What do we think? True or false? Okay. Excellent. We got there. We're getting there. Super. So international projects. We do not mind international projects at all in the portfolio. They are fantastic projects, and we've had some really great examples of them over the past few years for definite. What we would always encourage at Enactus UK is to really look in your local communities for needs. Not only does this help you because it's local, you're able to access them, able to network, make partnerships probably easier within your local communities, but also it's a great way to get other people involved as well from our partner organisations, and I'm almost certain that you will not know about some of the needs on your doorstep. So please do go out there, have a look. Like, they are not we definitely do not kind of dispel international projects at all, but local projects. Don't forget as well, for the National Expo, you need to have at least one local project that you present as part of your presentation. So just as a reminder for all, in case that wasn't clear, one local project in each presentation for nationals. But again, either or is fine, but they don't have more impact. So, oh, Pete, you're dropping down. Next one, Enactus teams can ask their business coaches or other corporate organisations to provide funding or gift items to their projects. What do we think to this here? I think this might be a bit of a debatable one. True or false? Okay. What are we saying? Oh, split, completely split. So this is okay to be split, because Pete and I were split when we were talking about this yesterday. Just based on, this is a grey area in some cases. What I would always encourage, though, is if your teams are wanting to reach out to partner organisations, unless they are your own and you know that you can access different things, please do get them to do it through either myself or Caroline here at Enactus UK, so we can support them with that conversation. You may we may be in talks with people already, which might be able to help the situation, or we may know about not be aware of. So I would always say, please do it through us here at Enactus UK. With that in mind, that's not to say that it's a blanket no, it really isn't. But we just want to make sure that our partners who do already give an awful lot to the programme, make sure that they still feel appreciative, because we've had some, not complaints is a strong word, but definitely some feedback from some of our partners before around teams asking them directly for more money when they already sponsor the whole of the programme across the UK. So just something to be aware of, something for you guys to flag with your teams. But yeah.
I think also, just to add to that, I think one of the best bits of advice that I got when I was going through the programme, and I guess a part of the conversation that me and Amy were having about this yesterday, was if you go out to the sponsors and ask for them to give you advice, you might end up getting some money off the back of it. But if you go out asking for money, you can often end up not getting the advice, which is actually more valuable than the money was in the first place. So for the teams, the best positioning to go in with is to go and ask for that advice, and if the sponsor feels that there is an opportunity there, they will bring it to the table, and that's the approach that you take with it. So go and ask for the advice and then work around it in that route, and that is the approach that certainly that I used to take at university around it. I was reflecting on our conversation about it last night, Amy. So
yeah, and you'd be surprised, honestly, the way in which sometimes the teams approach these situations. Like, you may think, well, of course they won't do that. I can promise you, Caroline and I are CC'd into stuff sometimes where it says things like, we need you to give us money for this. And obviously that is not appropriate business etiquette, but also just not appropriate full stop. Like, it's just rude. You wouldn't say it to your family or your friends. So you definitely wouldn't say it to obviously professional organisations. So just something to be aware of and to help you guys steer those conversations as well. But Caroline is always on hand for any information and support, especially for with the VPs as well. She's given me a thumbs up, so she's really pleased about it. Super. So, we're nearly there. So I think this is the last one maybe, but university advisors should be the first point of support for teams and project specific questions, requests for help and advice and guidance. Did it go really quick?
It's the voting's just closed again on that.
Oh man. Well, the answer is true. If you always encourage the teams to go towards their university advisors first, that's a great place for them to start, because the university advisor tends to have more legacy information about the team, access to funding and support throughout the university as well. And obviously the rest of the support network, including yourselves as alumni mentors, our business coaches and us here at Enactus UK are always on hand for any kind of other advice or support as well. But something maybe just to direct them towards, so that certain groups don't become the default.
I think it's also worth mentioning on this, you might end up getting asked things that you don't feel comfortable with responding to. So it might be pastoral issues, or it might be flags that you don't want to get involved with, or don't feel that you're qualified to get involved with, and that's very much where the university advisor would fit in. Or if you have any concerns of that nature, then make sure you let the Enactus UK team know, so that they know where they need to flag stuff if required.
Mm-hmm. My internet just told me that I'm unstable, so if I'm a bit wobbly, I'm sorry, just tell me. Super. So I think, now it's letting us do it. I think we are now, congratulations, Ashton. You have won. You have beat Pete, even though we ran through these last night together. So you have beat him. Amazing. So hopefully that's just given you a little bit of insight into a couple of things from an Enactus UK perspective, but just maybe some things that might help you guys steer as alumni mentors, the teams and the project across the program. So I think I'm passing over to you now, Pete, if that's okay.
Yeah. So I think what we were hoping to do here is, I don't know how many of you are familiar with mentoring and how many have mentored before, but I just wanted to give you, I guess, just my perspective around mentoring and coaching. And I think there's an important distinction between the two different things. And so it's something to just be thinking about when you're going in with your teams for the first time. So the way that do you want to just click forwards?
Yeah.
Next one. So we looked for a number of different ways to try and represent this back, but actually this image, I think, really starts to articulate the difference between some of the differences between mentoring and coaching. We don't need to get too lost in the differences, but I think the principle here is the mentor is the person who's giving information based on past experience. So your experience within projects, your experience within your university, your experience of going through the Enactus program, and bringing that to life and giving guidance to the teams associated with your prior experience. The difference between that and a coach is someone who's then trying to essentially give someone a pathway to discover their own path towards an answer. And so I think the mentoring title, it's called Enactus Mentoring, and I think the mentoring title can sometimes be misleading about what your role is there associated and what you need to do if you use that definition. So I think what the key bit that I really wanted to emphasize is, feel free to move between being a mentor and being a coach with the teams as you feel it's appropriate. If you haven't had a direct experience of the thing that the team's working on, the type of project, the area that the project's working in, or the issues that the team is going through, then feel free to be more of a coach. So ask them questions, try and allow them to come up with their own answer to themselves and work through it. So essentially working between that, using your own experience and providing them direct advice and guidance, versus feel free to then also ask them open questions and let them come up with the answers themselves. That's essentially the key definition that I just wanted to draw out from today. So building on that. So one of the things that we've been operating the mentoring network now for a number of years. I think it's coming on about 8 years roughly. A number of years ago, we developed a system called the Team Progress Report. And the purpose of this was to allow mentors within the network to essentially share how they're getting on with the team. Are you having good contact with the team? do you think the team are high potential? Do you think that the projects that the team are involved with have got good potential or have particular issues that you want to flag? And do you think that, and essentially allowing you to learn from information that's been put into the team in the past to try and get that legacy of information that is sometimes lost when you go through a transition between teams. So we developed a system called the Team Progress Report, or TPR for short. If you could just enable me to screen share, that'd be great, Amy, and then I will give you guys just a bit of a live demo of the system and how it works. Great.
Is that doing it now?
Just screen sharing now. Hopefully that's going to come through in a second. Can you guys see that? So a number of you should already have received an email notification from the TPR giving you your username and password. If anyone hasn't had that information, we've put a note in the slides just about where you send that to, but also feel free to just put something in the chat now and then I'll fix them straight after we come off the call to make sure that everyone's got their login information. So the URL, or the place that you go to, is just tpr.enactusukalumni.org, and we've sent out a little location within the website that's got more information so that you can learn more about the TPR and the video and everything else, so that if you, for whatever reason, can't remember something that I've just discussed, then you can go back at your own leisure and have a look through. So at a glance, the front page of the TPR, when you log in, you'll see this view here. So this view here shows this little matrix. This was something that's come up from some research that was done a number of years ago on what does a world-class entrepreneurship society look like, and we adapted that those findings for Enactus teams, and so each of these numbers here, so 1 to 6, is showing essentially from they're very immature in a certain area up to their world class in a certain area. What I've done on the link, and Amy, if you could you grab that link and just pop it in the chat from so that everyone's got access to it. I've gone through for each of these categories and I've shown you what does 6 mean versus what does a 1 mean, and it's got a list of examples of what those mean in each of them. And it'd be great for everyone to get familiar with that so that we're all scoring on the same type of system. So the reason that we set this up was because the criteria is one part of Enactus, and it's a part that's really important as a part of competition. But these wider pieces allow you to understand a little bit more about the legacy of the team, about how well set up the team are to continue going forward, and whether they're going to be one of these yo-yo teams or something similar who goes up and down based on a strong team leader. So it's whether they've got that infrastructure that's sitting underneath them to actually make them a really good team for the long term. So I'll show you a little bit more about that in a minute. And then on this side over here, I'll just move this out of the way for a second. On this side over here, you've got a little summary that just gives you a little view of what's happened in the last 30 days within your network. So how many hours have been contributed to the network in the last 30 days? How many reports have been submitted? The number of teams that have been seen, and the average score that's been given to those teams. And this is just to try and give you an idea about what's happening within the network at the moment. And equally underneath then, you can see a little snapshot of what's happening within the network in terms of the key topic areas that are most important to the teams. And then you'll see a copy of some of the latest reports across the bottom and what scores have been given. Great. Are there any questions on that? And obviously feel free to just jump in here and ask any questions as we go. Just jump off mute if you want to jump in and ask anything. I'll keep going, but feel free to jump across me. So that's the basic summary sheet. So if I go in, so say you've gone in, you've had a conversation with your team and you're just going to log the progress. So when you go onto here, this will then have the list of all of the teams. But if you've been allocated to a team, so if you've had your allocation completed and you're a mentor of a team, your team that you've been allocated to will just come up here in the gap. So then I'm just going to select Aberystwyth, and then you just put in a little bit more information. So where did you meet them? The meeting date, and then how you met them. So obviously feel free to, Skype is just one example, but any video-based platform is also appropriate. And then go through and try and give a view as to what happened as a part of that discussion. And again, when you're filling this in, bear in mind that the reason that you're doing this is, one, for your own notes, i.e. for you to remember the discussions that you've had last time, because we all have our own careers that we're operating in, so it just helps us to have that bearing on the discussions that we've had in the past. But two, also for the mentor that's going to be coming in next year and having the same discussion at the same time of year, so that they can go back through and think, right, that discussion's happened then, I wonder if that's still an issue, and so start to identify some of the issues before they happen. So you'd go through, select a couple of items. So say we've discussed team leadership, and then we've and these are, if you're discussing a specific area as an expert, i.e. if you're going into competition time and you're discussing specifically stuff around competition, then pop that in there. Just to provide a summary, what I've done is each of the scores has just got a summary piece. So as I mentioned, in the other link that Amy shared, each of these individual category areas has a list of examples that you can have a look at so that you can help to score, and you'll get used to which ones are like what each of them mean. But if I was rating someone as a 6 on strategy, I'd be expecting them to be identified by the UN as a top social entrepreneurship organization in the world. That's the spectrum here. So the opportunity is for every society in the network to have somewhere to aspire to, if that makes sense, because there's obviously a number of teams here and a number of you may be mentoring some of the teams that are much more established and so often feel that they've hit their ceiling. And so this is to give you that opportunity to give them a real benchmark and give them areas that they can still push in and develop on, even if they are those well-established teams. And equally at the other end of the spectrum, if you've got a team who is a very new team, so like 2 of the teams that Amy had just mentioned, it might be that you want to work with those teams specifically on making sure that they've got good foundations in place so that future years are going to be successful. And so you might want to be working on areas like making sure that the team governance is set up well, making sure that the internal relationships are built up. And those are 2 of the key areas that you might want to start with, and internal processes to make sure that those teams have a strong foundation that they can build out some projects from in the future if they can't achieve everything in that 1 year. And just to, I guess, provide a personal perspective on that, when I was involved in the Loughborough team, this was, I used this, so I was involved in the research that was done around entrepreneurship societies around the world, and I used that research and implemented it within Loughborough. And we knew that in the year that we had, there was only a list of things that we could go after, but we wanted to make sure that the key thing that we wanted to go after was sustainability. And so we focused on those 3 areas and then built into external relationships as the following year. And that was the kind of foundation piece that then allowed us, the team, to continue to move forward. I wouldn't say that they're a high performing team necessarily. They are in one of the top teams now, but it's taken a long time to build that legacy. And we'd gone from being a yo-yo team every year, so no team, some team, depending on the leader, to then having some sort of legacy associated with it. And that's a really important development cycle that some of the teams need to go through and break out of. So again, that's just to try and give you a bit of context as to why we're doing this. And then, so you might go through and you might think, well, I've only really had a discussion during the conversation. I discussed with governance, I'd say they're around a 2. I discussed around internal relationships. I think they've got a lot more to work on there. We didn't really touch on the other areas, so feel free to leave areas blank if you haven't touched on those as a part of the discussion. But then that also might give you a framework for later discussions or different team members that you want to bring in to have those other areas of discussion. So I think it's quite important then to work with your coaches or your university advisors, coaches and university advisors, to make sure that between you, you're covering all of these areas off and actually helping the whole team holistically to move forward. I don't know if there's anything that, any questions or anything at this point, just wanted to give a bit of context around that.
I think it's worth just reinforcing like how amazing this system is. Like, this is something that in my time in Enactus as an alumni, when I first graduated as an alumni mentor, this wasn't around. Like, this hadn't been built at that point, but I just know how useful this would have been if we could have been able to share reports. And even now, if I think about the vast amount of network that we have across all of our teams, if you think there's probably over 500 individuals all advising teams at any one time, a system like this enables us to have a really succinct but joined up conversation across everybody. So the only thing is with all of these kind of things is we only get the benefit out of it if you use it. So it really does come down to the use of it. So if there are any questions, if you are struggling to log on, you're not really sure what, give it a try, see what you come up with, but please don't feel that you can't reach out to any of us here. Myself or Pete, we're both here to help. Pete's probably better at helping on this, but I can try my best.
Great. So then just to go through a couple of other sections. So meeting summary, so obviously just put some sort of description here. So you're going to learn all about my spelling errors here. So I'm just going to go with I visited the team and spoke to the team leader. Focus of the conversation was on, just again, just a reminder back to yourself. And again, this is the discussion topic. So again, we've used this, these are the most commonly discussed topic areas between mentors and the teams. And we've just put these in so that it acts on one side as something for you to remember and go back through and just tick which ones you've done, but also as a prompt for you for when you're having that discussion with the team to think, should I have discussed this with the team, or should I have discussed that? So that next time when you're going back to discuss with the team, you might think, right, I think I need to go back in and have another discussion around community or a commercial project that they're working on, just to kind of give you those reminders of areas to look at. So a couple of other bits just at the bottom here. So warning flags. So we're this year at the moment, we're not going to be using this box. So please, if you do have anything that is urgent, that you do need to let the team know, please just email that directly to the team. So don't use that box. We're just, I may be able to remove that later, but for now, just please email the team directly. Highlight just anything that you want to put. If there was 1-2 bits that you really wanted to draw out, so you know this team has massive potential, needs X, then please feel free to put that in there. And then the contact name and contact position is essentially who is it that you've spoken to within the society. So have you spoken to the team leader? Who are they? So just so that we keep a good record of who those discussions are happening with across the team. And then finally, this bottom section, similar to the warning flag. So this is again something that was set up originally that was associated with confidential information. So red flags as you were. Again, please don't use this box again this year. So just if you have anything that is urgent, that you're really concerned about a team leader, please do just contact the program team directly rather than going through using this box. Great, and then you would just submit your record. So I'd say when you get used to this, it's maybe a minute's worth of your time just to go through and fill it out. First couple of times might take you 5 minutes just to go through it. So it just allows you to get that tracking and have a look at what's been completed. All of your previous reports will then be visible on here. So you'll be able to look through report date, what university you did the report for, a bit of a summary of the report and how long. And then off the back of that, this will generate essentially this statistics section here. So this is a bit of healthy competition for year-on-year mentors, and something that I hope that we as a mentoring team this year can aspire to. So if you have a look back in 2015-16, you can see the number of mentor hours that was committed in that year and the number of mentors that committed and what their breakdown was. So I think that this kind of thing is just really great to have a look back on, and also just have that healthy competition between the different years to see essentially who's managed to not just commit the most time, but also to make the biggest impact, hopefully at the end of the year, in terms of the projects and programs that end up coming out. It's also interesting to have a look back through. So if you look particularly between the years, so the first couple of years that it was created, so it was created in 2013, you can have a look at some of the most popular topics that happened each year, and it just helps you to sort of position yourself, so you know the type of discussions that you're going to be having before you're having them. So I hope that helps as just a bit of a whistle-stop tour of some of the key bits that are in there, and also gives you a bit of a feel for why we're doing this and what we're hoping to achieve from it.
Amazing. Okay, sorry. Okay, was there anything else we wanted to go through on the TPR? Does anybody have any questions while we're on this bit? No? I'm sure you might have some questions when you start using it. So as we said, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know. And we'd be more than happy to help you, obviously, make sure we're using this really, really good system, because it's going to help everybody, I think, ensure that we're getting even better impact across the teams. So I think there's just a couple of extra bits now, but nothing too taxing. Let's just switch back. Bear with me 1 second, and I will just share my screen again. I think it's coming up. So just based on the conversation that we have just had, I don't know if it's loading for you guys yet, it's just coming up on mine. We just wanted to know whether any of you had now accessed the TPR yet. Oh, it won't let me do it. Let me try and 1 second, it's not logged in. Let me stop that. Oh. Is it working? Is my screen coming? No.
It's just coming back through again.
Let's have a little bit of it is, I think. No, it's not letting us on here. Well, I guess just for you guys, let's just humour us. Has anybody logged on to the TPR yet? Just put yes or no in the chat. If you haven't, it is no problem. It's just for us. Nikita, excellent. I'm glad you have. Amazing. We've got loads of yeses. Super. That's good. That's good news. That's good to hear. Brilliant. It's great that you guys have logged on. For those of you who haven't, don't panic. There's still plenty of time for you guys to log on to the TPR. And as we said, if you have any questions when you do jump onto it, let us know and we'd be more than happy to help. So I feel like it's actually now working again. And there's one more question that we did want to actually grab on the Slido. So I'm just going to go back onto it now and hopefully it won't break down. So just before we kind of come to the end of this session, what we were hoping to do moving forward is really start encouraging these monthly meetups for us, so that you guys can benefit from maybe some additional training, mentoring, development of yourselves as we go throughout the year, but also so that we can just kind of get together as a group. So if you could please all just jump back to the Slido and let us know what time of day would you prefer for a monthly alumni call. So as I said, it won't be longer than about an hour or so, nothing more than that, nothing taxing. We'll try and make them fun every now and again as well. We might even see each other in person. But we just thought we'd gather this information. So we've had 6 people say so far, so it would be great if you could all just jump onto the Slido and let us know what your thoughts are. We don't mind, which is why we're asking. So evening, 6 till 7, early evening, later than that. No one wants to do mid-afternoon, fair one. Oh God, don't do this to us. Don't end on a tie. That will be not great. We've got a couple more people. So if you could just quickly jump on, that would be amazing. And then we'll know, but at least this gives us a bit of an indication as to what you guys want to do, because that'll be something that we would love to work on with you to get that engagement up throughout the year as well. And then lastly, as I said, there was a quick plug, shout out at the end for the Enactus World Cup. So hopefully you are all fully aware that the Enactus World Cup is happening this year in October. It is virtual, unfortunately. We are not jet setting anywhere fancy. Instead, we are doing it from the comfort of our own homes. But we would love for you guys to not only register to be observers, helping us cheer on the Enactus Southampton team, who've done a fabulous job at getting ready for the Enactus World Cup, but also, if you are able to, we would love you to register as a judge for the Enactus World Cup, which is a fantastic experience. Many of you may have never seen that side of things and haven't been in the presentation team yourself. So it would be great for you guys to experience what it's like to be a judge, but also just to see the fantastic projects, teams, impact there is all across the world. Like, it amazes me, even 13 years later, it amazes me every single time, like the impact students can make whilst at university. So please do log on, jump on, and sign up to be an alumni judge at the Enactus World Cup. So I think that's everything. Pete, did you want to add on something there?
Yeah, it was just really to try and get a feel from everyone, really. If there's anything else from a mentoring perspective that people would like support on, and I don't know whether people can just either feel free to just jump off mute or just put something in the chat if there's something that you think that we could do that would help you to have that first interaction with teams and also to get out there and start working with them, essentially.
Manveer, what do you think?
I mean, we've had the initial networking call. I know mine was okay. I didn't really get a sense of the team's challenges or project challenges. I've had a bit of emailing back and forth with their HR on some recruitment stuff, which is okay. But then I've asked for the team leader to reach out so we can have a conversation about general stuff and where I can actually help the most. But as of yet, obviously, I haven't heard back. And that was Friday, so it is only Tuesday. So, but yeah, it's just that sort of. I feel like people might be a bit scared to reach out as well. I do find that. Well, I'd never found that because I was the team leader for 3 years. But I mean, like, I know the team leader now. She is a bit apprehensive at times as well, and I've seen it everywhere. So maybe something to help that along.
That's a great point. Because I think as well, you've raised another great point about whether or not teams will be honest with you in terms of challenges and what they're actually facing. I think one piece of advice, and like Sept and Pete's got loads to add as well to this, is for me, it's all about that relationship build. It's about getting to that relationship point as soon as possible where people feel comfortable. And whether that's just you do that introductory meeting, you get to know each other a little bit. It's a process, isn't it? Like, if people feel comfortable, they're more likely to then open up. And especially Manveer, like for you, like you've got so much experience as a team leader, that you can 100% help with, but also you've probably been on the other side where you've probably not wanted to tell your challenges, because people, as human beings, we want to say the good stuff, don't we? We don't want to say we're struggling or we're overwhelmed or whatever. So just be aware of that. Pete? Honestly,
I've never had that. I just sort of say, we need help with this. Like, because I think if you don't ask as early as you can, you don't get as early as you can. Yeah. Really, is what I've seen always.
Sometimes you don't know what you don't know either, do you? So there's some sort of element of actually you don't know what you need to ask. Like, the approach that I would normally take in if it wasn't C-word impacting, then is every year that I've mentored teams, basically I take them all out for a beer or many beers to start with, and then try and break through that as fast as I can. And I think that this like, however we can try and break through those informally as quick as possible from a mentoring perspective makes a massive difference. Trying to get them into their WhatsApp group or into their Slack channel or whatever it is that they're using as a part of their society team makes such a big difference, because if you end up getting blocked by the gatekeeper or the person that's been allocated to work with the mentor, it will make your year as a mentor very unfulfilling, because you'll end up just trying to break through that gatekeeper that for the entire year. So I think it's really worth just having a really open, honest discussion with the team that you're working with, saying these are some of the things that we know that happen somewhere. I'm sure it won't be you, but we just wanted to let you know, so that you can be ahead of that and have that discussion before it becomes a problem. And I think also within this first month, so as they're going into freshers, if you haven't managed to get a good contact back from them within the first couple of weeks towards the end of September, it's well worth flagging that back to the Enactus UK team so that they can intervene and help support. Because obviously, if you're keen to mentor, then the network will be keen for you to help somewhere. And if the team that you're working with or been allocated to doesn't want you, then I'm sure they'll find somewhere else where you can.
Like, so far, I've offered I've offered a like sort of how to pitch an actor session, which I said is really cool and they'd like to do given availability. And again, this was Friday, but I've not heard back yet. So again, I don't know if it's just whatever days have been happening and people are busy, but I know when I did it, I replied as soon as I got the email. And then the WhatsApp group was set up as well straight away.
And that's a fantastic thing to coach people on there and advise them on, like, how do they manage their inbox? What's their response time? Because to them, they're probably thinking, well, it's been a weekend, we're now on Monday, I don't have lectures on a Monday, so I'm not going to log on until Tuesday or whatever it may be. And for them, it might not be as noticeable, but that's a great thing to mentor and coach somebody on about response time and what that looks like, and even just communicating that. Like, even if, so something we always kind of encourage the VPs to do, whether they listen or not is a different matter, but is even if you can't respond fully, then just send a quick note to say, hey, I've seen your message, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like, or I've got exams on this week, but I will respond as soon as I possibly can. I don't know, would it be better to call or what? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a great thing to mentor them on for that reason as well.
And agreeing up front that as quickly as possible with the society, the response time, the medium by which you're responding and communicating is really important, because the expectation setting, it can be really frustrating on both sides if it's not happening how you expect it to be. And equally, one of the things that I quite often have come across with the teams is they'll kind of tell you that they want you to meet them face to face next week, and you kind of like, yeah, that's not how it works in like the real world. Like, you need to be planning that kind of stuff. You should know your calendar of events a whole quarter, if not further in advance, so that you know when nationals is, you know when the competition prep's going to be, you know when all of these key major milestones over the course of the year. So you should be planning that in the diary straight away with your business advisors, so that you make sure you got the best people available. And that's one of the first conversations that I try and have with the team is show me the diary, get it all booked in. I
also think that potentially with teams that they don't realize their contact with their alumni mentor can be different than other coaches, because I know, at least for myself, I've just graduated, I'm still sort of like, what the hell do I do? But it can be sort of very different for an alumni mentor in ways you contact them and how formally you do it, and I don't think they realize that yet either. So yeah, I don't know if that's just like this team or like every team, but it might be something worth mentioning to everyone.
Great.
Because the way you contact them is and can be very different.
100%. I've had a couple of questions come to me direct on here. So I've got one about World Cup, registering for the World Cup. Whilst when you register to be a judge for the World Cup, what you need to do is you need to register as you normally would, like as an alumni. I can't remember, I think it's business admission, or there may even be an alumni admission that you need to go under. But then when you go onto the website, when you click onto the agenda and you click the sessions that you want to attend, you must click opening round or semi-final round judging, and then that will register you as a judge by clicking those two sections. I know it's not the most easy process, it definitely could be easier, but that is the process, unfortunately. So when you log on, sign up, and then you can then go on to click on the opening round or semi-final round, and then that will register you as a judge. And then the second thing is, if people still haven't heard back from the teams, please do not hesitate to get in touch with Caroline or myself at Enactus UK, and we can make sure that we are helping that connection along. What we often find is that a simple nudge will allow the team to get back into contact with you sooner rather than later. I would also just, I'm sure you guys know this, but a lot of the teams are still just coming back slowly but surely. They're not quite back on campus yet, so that might contribute to that a little bit. But even so, try again. If you don't hear anything back from them within a couple of days, don't hesitate to let us hear it and Enactus UK know, because I'm sure that we bugged all of you guys as students last year to make sure that you were keeping in touch, so we can do it for you as well on the other way. So yeah, just let us know if you haven't got in touch with any blue teams, because we want to make sure those connections are just as early as possible, because it just helps you guys then have a better impact over the year. Cool. Well, we're now getting to 6:30, or just gone over. So I just wanted, oh, one sec, I've got a long message in the chat. I need to drop a single to add to my Peter mentions. Helpful to. Okay, so Jots has said, I think it's helpful to establish a good level of expectation management for both the team and alumni mentor. I think this will contribute to making things more comfortable and earning trust, especially for new groups. 100% Jots. That is a great point and a great reinforcement of what Pete was saying as well about that expectation. You guys know from communicating with me, like sometimes email's the best way, sometimes WhatsApp the best way, but on WhatsApp, I logged onto my WhatsApp this morning on my work phone. I had 250 messages. If you were the 250th one, I wouldn't see that for days. I will never see that. So again, you've got to just make sure you're aware of that expectation. You guys know with me, if you don't hear from me on WhatsApp, email and I'll be straight onto it. But it's always worth just making sure you've got those kind of awareness of who's best to contact when. We even had the conversation about it the other day, didn't we, Pete, about the contact you were introducing to me. You were saying contact him on Twitter. That is the best way to contact him because that's where he is all the time versus going on email. So it's always good to know.
And it's the same that you might find with the business coaches as well. You might find that I chat to our suppliers more regularly on LinkedIn than I do via email now. So it's something for you to just consider when you're having that first engagement. It might be better, and sometimes you don't even have to ask. You just reach out, see what happens, and see if the conversation keeps flowing on that platform. So
super. Okay. Well, is there anything else that anybody wants to go through now?
Amy, just a very quick one, if it's okay.
Of course, Vivek.
Thanks very much. Pete, the demo on TPR was super helpful. I just wondered, do you recommend that we log every kind of formal meeting and interaction, or just kind of the critical ones per month?
I think it's down to you, Vivek. It's what we find it help. Obviously, when you think about it from the system perspective, it's obviously the more information that's going in there, the better. But obviously, from a alumni perspective, we don't want it to be a burden on you guys filling it in. So try and just use your best judgment on that. If you think that, I've just texted them, do I really need to log that? Then don't bother. It's just to try and capture some of those, as you said, key engagements and key points that you think are really relevant that you want to share back that something's happened there. But then feel free when you do log that next interaction to kind of capture the fact that you've had more conversations than just that one interaction, whatever that key interaction was, if that makes sense. I think ultimately as well, Vivek, from a network perspective and from a mentoring team perspective, it'd be great for us at the end of the year to be able to give to Amy a report that says, hey, look, this is what we've contributed as a mentoring team this year. And, we'd love for Enactus UK to support us more in X, Y, and Z so that she can have that conversation with the sponsors and all that kind of thing. It just gives her more information to go back to the sponsors with and have something more tangible. So I hope that just gives a bit more context around it.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Makes sense, Pete. And do you think that we should start kind of logging from now on in September, or retrospectively cover off any conversations we had over the summer as well?
Feel free to do both, definitely.
Okay.
So when you go into that first login, feel free to do some of the historic ones now that you're comfortable with that, and also feel free to keep logging from now on. Like I showed in the demo, you should be able to go to the date range. So if you just pop in the dates when those interactions have happened, it'll work out based on the Enactus year. So if you want to log it as a part of this Enactus year, then just put it from September the 1st onwards.
Great, makes sense. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Amy.
No problem. Super. Okay, well, we'll obviously be sending out this recording to you all and to the wider alumni network as well very shortly. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I hope it's been insightful into what role you guys play as a mentor and how we can support you as a team as well. If there is anything more that we can be doing, as Pete said, please do let us know. We, as a kind of alumni mentoring team, we really want to help you guys make the most of this year and really make a fantastic impact on the team. So if there is anything else that we can do, please don't hesitate to shout. We will be shortly actually applying for other roles as well, won't we, to support us, Pete? So keep your eye out for that too.
And I think just on that point, if you guys kind of looking at the alumni network, thinking, I really wish the alumni did this, then feel free to come forward and support us to help it to do that. This isn't like my alumni or Amy's alumni. It's for all of us essentially to own and to take forward wherever we want to. So if there's areas where you'd really like to see it push forward, then feel free to come forward and just get involved, really. Super.
Okay, well, great to see you all. Now I hope you all go out and enjoy the sunshine. Well, we've still got a little bit left somewhere, and we will hopefully be speaking to you all soon. Enjoy mentoring.
And I'm happy to just stay on for a couple of minutes if anyone wants to ask any specific questions. So just feel free to just stay on if you want to grab me for a minute.
And start the recording.